Mock scrapes are all the rage right now, and for good reason. Scrapes are the social hub for deer in the area. Think like the water cooler in your stereotypical office settings, just where everybody got together, gossiped about their weekend, or talked about how annoying Kevin was and he needs to shower, and you know, all the workplace gossip in the area. That's where it gets shared, so everybody goes to it. And so an active scrape is a good way for us to take inventory of the deer that's in our area, because hopefully every deer is going to come check that out, see who's around, leave the scent of their own, and then go on their way. It can kind of concentrate deer movement. And we can use mock scrapes to do the same thing, but we place those scrapes in places that are advantageous for us. Maybe a good pinch point, maybe someplace that we can get to easily and quietly without spooking deer, so then we can hunt over them. But you have to set them up properly. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that, I should probably save this for the mistake video, but a lot of people think that they could just go out somewhere, kick some leaves down, put a camera over it, and then deer are just gonna keep showing up. Not only will that, or could that be a giant waste of time, but you could set them up in a way where you don't get any good shot opportunities and deer just don't visit them at all. So in this video, we're gonna go over 3 tips to help you set up more effective mock scrapes. But before we get into these tips, do me a favor, and if this is your first time on my channel, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you click that bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload a video. And so the first tip to setting up an effective mock scrape is you have to be sure that you've chosen the right location. You can't just put a mock scrape anywhere and expect it to be a good spot. You have to think about places where deer are already going to travel and that you can effectively hunt them. Now, I know a lot of people like to put up mock scrapes on the edges of their food plots, or even out in the middle with a T-post and some tree they've cut somewhere. You see that a lot on YouTube, but I have never had any good luck with those locations. Anytime I do try that, or anytime any deer do visit those mock scrapes, it's always at night. You gotta think, they're pretty exposed using these mock scrapes. I mean, you might get some that if you've got a pretty overgrown field edge along your food plot, they might visit that a lot more. But again, that's a little different than right on the edge of your food plot or even out in the middle. And I think the reason why the mock scrapes out in the middle of food plots work for certain YouTube channels, and you can probably think of the most popular one I'm thinking of right off the top of your head, is because these hunting properties are extremely managed hunting grounds. I mean, they put a lot of effort into not educating deer and not, trying to make sure that deer don't associate their food plots with danger. So those deer specifically are probably gonna feel more comfortable going out in the middle of a food plot, wide open ground, and using a mock scrape during daylight hours. And it just doesn't seem to translate to normal situations. I have had far greater luck with mock scrapes in the timber, and I suspect that a lot of you would too. So I like to find places where there are multiple trails coming together that lead to those food plots that I want to take advantage of, because you can take advantage of food plots without hunting right over them. Find the trails leading into it, put a mock scrape where some trails converge, or maybe they don't even have to converge, but maybe a spot that you can get to undetected. Put a mock scrape there, see if you can get deer to stop there long enough, stage up there before it gets dark enough for them to feel safe going out in that food plot, and you will have a much higher chance of success over your mock scrape. And so the second tip to putting up effective mock scrapes is you have to manage your scent. A lot of hunters make the mistake of not thinking about their scent control with mock scrapes. They put in a lot of effort to make sure they're as scent-free as possible going into the hunt, but then they stink up the place putting up their mock scrape. Now, you may be able to get away with it, in the middle to the late part of the summer before deer start using them, because it gives time for your scent to dissipate. However, I like to try to maintain as scent-free mock scrape as possible. So when I'm going to set up a mock scrape, I just treat it like I'm going hunting. I will wear clothes that I've washed in my scent eliminating detergent. I will wear my rubber boots. I'll spray down with scent eliminator, all that stuff. I think about the only thing I don't do most of the time is I don't take, my scent-free shower, but that's about it. An extra thing I do is I will wear rubber gloves when I'm messing with the licking branch and putting out that scent, because not only do I not want to get my scent on the licking branch or any of the stuff I touch around it, I just don't want that scent on my hand. That stuff doesn't just wash off. And speaking of scents, I don't go crazy with the scents. I don't use the scrape starter spray stuff or anything like that. I just get regular deer pee. The only thing you really want to avoid is don't use any scents that wouldn't be naturally happening right now, like estrus. So you don't put doe estrus in your scrape in the beginning of September. It just doesn't make any sense. And the third tip for an effective mock scrape is something I think is pretty overlooked, but it's getting better now, but definitely years ago, people didn't even think about this, and that's a proper licking branch. The licking branch is where most of the communication happens. Deer are rubbing their orbital glands on there and then licking that to try to figure out who exactly has been using it. And yes, they do leave scent down in the scrape, but it's probably at least, if not more than half of that information is shared in that licking branch. So if you're missing that, you pretty much got a mock scrape that is going to die very soon. And if you really want to test this out, find a scrape, like a natural scrape that deer are using, and then just cut that licking branch off. See how long that scrape stays open. Now, you probably don't want to do that unless maybe you want them using a different scrape that might be in a more advantageous spot for you. But if you do that, that scrape dies very fast. So the proper height for your mock scrape, your licking branch in your mock scrape, should be about 4 to 6 feet tall. So an average height person, about chest high. And 9 times out of 10, the spot you want to put a mock scrape where you think will be the perfect spot doesn't have a good looking branch. So you can always just make one. Take a zip tie or a wire or something, and then get a branch from somewhere else and have it hang straight down over where your mock scrape is going to be. Trim all the extra leaves and twigs off of it so it's just one branch. You can have a little toward the end, but you don't want a bunch of branches covering it up. You want to be very obvious that that is a licking branch. If you want a perfect example of how to set up a mock scrape, I will leave a link to a video down in the description, or I'll put a card somewhere to a video that I can't think of the guy's name, but he does it pretty much exactly how I do it, except he puts orbital gland scent on the licking branch. I have fine enough luck without it, but I might try it this year and see if there's a difference. But if you want to watch that, I will, like I said, I'll leave a link down below. And if you're looking for some more tips for your upcoming hunting season, check out one of these videos over here. They will definitely help you out. So that was 3 tips to setting up an effective mock scrape. If you've got any more tips you'd like to share, so maybe some mistakes you've made, or you just want to share your successes, leave those down in the comments below. Hit that like button if you like this video, share it if you found it helpful, and make sure that you are subscribed so you can stay informed.